first bands, but Kursalo, though, see what they go.
Alrighty, let's see who has the first pick, first ban. I believe it is. Oh, it's Pro Throws. Okay, so they are on the blue side once more. Currently up 1-0 in this series, and you were talking about Dahaka. They want nothing to do with that guy.
Oh, I'm looking at your screen. I'm like, I don't see the hover on my screen. So I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean they don't?
Sometimes, isn't that weird?
Yeah, so I don't see it on my screen. I'm like, what do you mean they don't want Dahaka? I was like, I don't see anything. I think that's a good ban. I mean, the global pressure that he puts on there. We did see Falstad prioritized for that of DormLords. So do they try and take something like Falstad for themselves? I mean, globals are just so powerful. I was actually having this conversation with Dunk, I think a couple days ago. We were watching HGC, and I was like, man, I honestly would not mind either nerf the heroes that have globals, or even nerf the globals even more. I think competitively, because we're talking about Korea, competitively, I think they just do so much, as Falstad was the choice. Maybe they'll get the Haka themselves.
Yeah, global heroes have just had so much power on any map. You talk about when Brax's holdout first came out. It's a 2-lane map, and you don't think of a global as like a must-have just at the first thought, right? It's a smaller map in theory with a 2-lane map, but just that power of being able to go from one lane to the next and turn the tides very quickly, not being able to respond to that rotation. In many situations, it just adds so much to you. But we do have the Falstad and the Ragnaros as the bans here. Dahaka was being hovered. Will they prioritize that for their pick, or are they trying to...
Remember when we saw Glaurung play Dahaka over and over on Braxis, by the way?
Yeah, it was the double warrior, Dahaka ATC.
Glaurung's like, hey, guess what, guys? I'm going to put my team on my back, and we're going to win.
It's true, though.
Made a lot of good plays.
And now he's a Medivh master.
Now, we see... Okay, so Ragnaros being banned, you have to start to think, like, did they just really like Li Ming on that? Does somebody just really like Li Ming overall? So you start looking at heroes like Malfurion, you start looking at heroes like Dahaka for these early rotations. Obviously, I don't think you first pick Li Ming, but Tassadar's still on the board. You can find ways to work around it. They are going to opt for the Malfurion, though.
Mal first pick, yeah. Can't really knock it. He's just got such a ridiculous kit in this game. Oh, my goodness. Oh! The Murky.
Jake, why?
Well, all right. Murky, he's a great solo laner. There's a lot of mercenary camps available here in Curse Hollow. The bribe talent, a fishy deal, is very powerful. Like, you cannot doubt it. And, you know, in the event Murky's left alone to sit in his lane, it's hard to deny him from getting those bribe stacks because you have to destroy the pufferfish. So you're kind of forced to put someone against him and deal with his bribe stacking.
Then I put the Haka in that lane, and I would say, good luck, Murky.
What if they grab the Haka right now?
Huh?
What if they grab the Haka right now?
Golden. Oh, my God. Murky, please. Not even that they just waited later in the draft. They're just like snap locked it. Somebody's in that party like, I got Murky.
It's about damn.
Well, we got to remember that the DormLords are here for a good time, not for the esports points, but I'm excited, man. I love watching the new Murky because he is an absolute monster.
He's a monster. His win rate, Jake, is the highest right now.
57.5 or something?
It's scary. All right, so you have Malfurion. If you're going to go to Haka, this is definitely the rotation that you would do it. I don't think you want to risk it being banned out. You want to have that global. You've already taken Falstad off the board, which means you respect the globals, but do you respect it enough to pick one up for yourself is the next question. And Tychus could have been a preemptive choice towards that. There is the Dahaka. Generally, when you run Dahaka, you're going to be running another warrior, so a preemptive Tychus pickup could be a thing. He does really well on this map anyways, but could have been basically like, look, we might give up to Haka. Let's at least pick for that in the short term. So there's the Dahaka. I like it.
And we saw what they were able to do with Li Ming in the last game. Lieutenant Dan, I believe it was, just getting those resets. Can't knock it. It's a very strong start to their draft. One of each flavor. Their ranged, their tank, their global, their heals. They've got a good basis covered. Now, as we go into the bans, we gotta think what are they worried about them pairing this with? Commonly, you'll see Dahaka with a second warrior. Do you ban Artanis here?
No, Artanis, I think, was like a flash in the pan. He's not. I don't even know if he's really been picked outside of Battlefield of Eternity the last week or two.
That's true in the pro scene, but
and I don't know if he really does well on this map, though.
Yeah.
Right, ETC ban, that's respectable, very strong.
But they're not going to be going for ETC. Interesting. Maybe they're going to try to get Varian again?
Varian could be the choice. I think when we look at their comp, you already see Murky and Tychus. Murky doesn't exactly like spring up to a Varian taunt and be like, look, I'm about to do a bunch of burst damage here, you know, and you blow somebody up. Tychus doesn't necessarily contribute to that as well. I mean, the bigger they are, I mean, it still takes a few seconds for that to tick, and then post 40%. You no longer get value out of that. So they don't necessarily have the burst damage to, I guess, say that a Varian pick would be worth it, because generally you're looking for that single pick target to really kind of initiate. And if you don't kill that person, Varian has to find a way to walk away.
Well, they're looking at Brightwing. That's a really smart ban, actually. I think they've got a feel for Inverm's Rhaegar. And that, you know, once you have an understanding of a way a player works, like Inverm is a little bit more aggressive than most Rhaegars. He goes for a lot of feral lunges opening in the fights, and Brightwing gives him that global, gives him the safe options of, you know, being able to poly someone or this, you know, cleanse if needed at level 7, and first Dahaka very much is needed. So that will more or less force them into Rhaegar again.
Rhaegar will probably be the choice. I'm not sure if I want to see the Varian. I'm not even going to pretend that one other people might play Tyrael. So if they're going to go anything, I think Murden would be probably their best pickup in terms of controlling the tributes. Again, Murden somehow has fallen off. He just doesn't have that instant, like, flashy, game-changing potential, but Diablo does.
Wow. So they're leaving support last. They know that last pick is going to be Rhaegar, so they basically know the full composition. Zarya, Diablo. I mean, we're talking about goaltenders or, you know, stalling out tributes. Zarya does amazingly, and with Diablo, you can really make plays happen. That makes the ETC ban very valuable in controlling that front line. But who's the second? I mean, we're not going to see Lone Warrior Dahaka. That's very rare.
I mean, we saw them go Murden last game, and it worked really well. So Li Ming combo off of a Varian taunt is pretty scary. I think you'd obviously have to bring in some other damage. Potentially, you might go Vala, Li Ming Vala, if that's in your hero pool. Depending on what they have, I think that would be a very good and viable option if they did want to go Varian. We did see Mean Murden play, but it was Skullcracker Murden. There's the Vala. Give me that Varian with the taunt. Oh my goodness. If you get a Varian taunt...
Man. Yeah, that's...
Listen, if you execute this correctly, Jake, taunt into Rain of Vengeance and anything else you want to throw out from Vala, plus a full Li Ming combo.
Gosh.
Let's say you have Dahaka, you've got the vulnerability on the front line, you get a tongue on it, somebody's dying.
That's scary. And... you know, they do have the double warrior to try to sustain through this. Yes, Zarya is going to be there for the bubbles, and then likely Rhaegar is this last pick. We could see Karazim, but it's definitely not the prominent option, at least what we see for most players.
You definitely, I think, want to cleanse. Pre-16 especially. I think the Varian is just too scared to deal with. Think about Diablo. If Diablo gets picked once, then he loses his souls. Then he's really reliant on Zarya's shield. So we'll see how that goes. Murky, his job obviously is going to be to push lanes, try and get to the back line, harass heroes like Li Ming Vala, even though Murky now does put a decent amount of harassment onto the front line. As well, but
he really does. And you know, although we talked about Octograb, you know, being very good for secluding a hero and blowing them up, March of the Murlocs in flanking situations, especially around a lot of the tributes, could be a game changer paired with Apocalypse, paired with Expulsion Zone, just having that much CC in the fight. I really hope we see March here.
I think one of the bigger things that you have to be afraid of is if you're Varian, the Devastating Charge questing talent for Diablo actually does really well on this map because the amount of terrain. And if you can get that, it does percentage-based damage. And after you charge them multiple times into the wall, it does huge damage. And remember, Varian does have a parry, but ability damage can still hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. So he's blow-upable, but we'll have to see if the DormLords can bring it back. Currently down 1-0. They are loading on in 0 mount synergy. I am disappointed. Their opponents, oh my goodness, they are looking mighty fine. They've got their blue Zoid, and then...
Oh, they're dancing around the Malfurion. I love it.
That's
Now they're doing it around Dahaka because there's no mount.
Remember, kids, pugs. Team pugs. That's such a nice looking skin.
Color, though, is a little bit off.
No, it's okay, man. He's the captain.
It's blue. Okay, if it's the captain.
You always want your captain to stand out.
Forgivable.
I don't know if he's actually their captain, but I'm going to pretend he is. Murky Egg. Where will he put it? Oh. That's a fake one. The face on it is so funny.
The egg hunt. That's talk about controlling vision and rotations. That's definitely one way to do it. Just put it directly where you know someone's going to be pathing.
But they give up a fishy deal. And in my opinion, that's the real strength behind this Murky pick. Is your ability to put pressure on constantly through the mercenary camps across the map. Drag in immediately on the source, and down he goes on Tychus. Oh, the feed is real.
My favorite part was Varian was hiding in the bushes, and Tychus backtracked all the way into it, and he's like, oh, I bumped into somebody. He's like, I better get out of here. And then the Zarya shield had already come out. They bursted through it, but it was a good tongue by Dahaka to really make that kill happen.
Okay. Pugs versus Novus here. Novus has gotten his warded eggs, and you can see how little value he's going to get out of that pufferfish because it's hit by all the AoE abilities from Dahaka now, and with that swarm, he's just cutting through it like it's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest things that, we talked about in draft. Oh no, Murky died. But yeah, it is. It's very tough to deal with solo laning against the Dahaka. We're seeing Shandos, man, they are really putting a lot of value into their Li Ming player, carrying them. Let's go back on the bottom.
Yeah, looks like the collapse is here from Theros. No stun there because no level 4 yet. Could have been a kill in a different situation with Quark locked in, but not going to happen. Just applying a bit of pressure in this 3v3.
What is Dahaka like when he's like 3 essence per day is?
I don't. He's
easy game.
Yeah, he's just having a good time. He's gonna actually tap early, just mainly for the mana, as he can safely go back. Hearthstone, get more mana, rush Stalker back into the battle. And remember, every time he kills Murky, that's even more experience in this lane for him. They timed these Giants beautifully, but unfortunate for them, the Tribute will be in the top, so not going to get as much value as they might have hoped for, and they will not get value out of the Global. So this is a nice win here for DormLords.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that you have to think of is Murky, when it comes to contesting things like this, is like, I'm okay with dying, guys, no big deal. As Dahaka has to be careful. I don't think he has much essence. He only has 2 essence. He can't exactly stand in there and take much more of this.
Hungry Arrow does whip. So a little bit less pressure available. You see DormLords starting to push on in. Murky will be able to bubble himself to get out of there. And the roots are good. Dragon on to Zarya, but the Shadow Charge does come through from Zytos to try to buy some space, and Theros could end up falling here. No, beautiful block there, just getting out of there as Murky does lose his first life. Where is the real egg? I don't even know. This Murky has me juked.
I think it's behind the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zarya gets blown up as well, so...
The egg just died to Siege Giants, by the way.
Oh, no.
Dahaka opting to go with the Lurker strain at 4. That is not something I generally see. It's normally, the collect more essence when you kill minions. Interesting.
We'll see how that works out. Yeah, you got to be careful with your Murky egg placement because it's vulnerable to splash damage if you put it right against the wall. You literally put it under a tower, so the Giants do have that splash. It's unfortunate. A little bit of oversight from our Murky.
I think a couple things talent-wise when we look on the side of DormLords is give me 20 for Zarya. Getting 20 globes on this map is no easy task, so the value you get out of that is super late game. And I think that has to be able to deal with basically the taunt combos that are becoming out of there to get that extra shield. But I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to keep an eye on that. That might actually not even be finished this entire game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you'll have to keep us up to date as we can't see it on this interface. But it looks like they might just be conceding this. Zarya could try to throw in. Looks like the Source wanted to try to throw a grenade, but backs up in fear of the Varian guarding that space. And it's 2-0 into the tribute count with a 1-level lead very early on here.
Dahaka is destroying that top lane, by the way, and Murky is just thinking, can somebody please swap me lanes? Because I don't want to be here anymore.
Hero slain.
That's the tough thing. When you pick Murky as your solo laner, like, that's why first pick Murky I don't think is really ever going to be prominent because there's so many easy ways to respond to him. Like, even if he had gone for a fishy deal, which at this point, you know, in retrospect, it's great that he didn't, because I don't know how many of these pufferfish would have actually gone through and gotten him drive stacks. But yeah, he just has had no room to breathe. He's going to be dead again in any second now.
All right, next tribute, Jake, bottom left, and that's going to be a boss pickup for that of Crow's throws as he dies.
Oh,
but
no.
the thing is, DormLords had an opportunity to get the boss. Obviously, you risk losing experience when you're already down experience, so now they don't have any counter pressure. There's a boss pushing in the bottom lane. Siege Giants actually should be able to defend that pretty well. Tribute here could be cursed for Crow's throws.
All right, Varian gets flipped, but he's got plenty of heals on him. Going in with a charge and forces a cleanse onto Haloran, who's very low in the front. LT Dan going to be able to get the channel on the tribute. The curse is active, and Haloran goes down. The Source will follow. Chain heal is not quite enough, and there we see Diablo 3 for nothing with the curse and a boss. This is looking rough.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
I don't know what that means.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, to be honest with you.
He's in the hospital bed. He's like Lieutenant Dan Ice Cream. Anyways, tribute curse is picked up, and the boss is pushing in the bottom. That fort's down. Top fort is down. Middle fort going down. Jake, we went from a 9-8 to an 11-8 level or a lead.
Oh, it's gonna get way worse. Don't worry.
Through.
Don't worry. It's gonna get way worse. The boss is still up. The Hawk is down here in the bottom. These towers will
Did you
collapse
say
very
don't
quickly.
worry?
Don't worry.
It's gonna get way worse.
Well, I mean, you can worry.
Don't worry for who, Jake? I'm worried right now.
DormLords better be worried.
How do they show up to the studio next week and be like, guys, they look over at each other like, we don't talk about this.
Oh my goodness. They might lose a keep here at the 7-minute marker. 2 keep walls are down. Oh, this is... Alright. Don't worry, Jay. It's okay.
Yeah, they show up to work, they look at each other, and they're gonna. It's just like quiet acknowledgement. That, like, nobody talks about it. You just don't even mention it or hint at it. You just look at each other and you understand. Like,
two talent tier advantages are perfectly normal. Like, it happens to everyone in every game. And this boss will be scooped up as safe as could be.
There's no threat. There's zero threat, and Dahaka is just going to casually walk over there, clear another minion wave, so the boss gets even more push.
Where? Like, yeah, I want to see Murky, like, pushing up bottom or something, put an egg up the top lane so he can, you know, basically just dive the tower and teleport back up. You can almost use Murky as a global in these kind of situations, where you kind of know your opponent's position, and you kind of know where things are going to push themselves forward, like in the top lane, for example. But not the case here. No global soak for them. It's going to be very difficult for them to catch up with 5 sitting up here in the top defending, and they are going to get collapsed on. The flip over the wall. Can they kill Theros? He's in deep, and the Taika CPS is phenomenal. The expulsion zone will have to be used here to get him down, but that seems so hard for them to kill him under a keep.
That was very difficult. The boss did get through the wall. I think they need to back out. Dahaka's pushing the bottom lane as well. There's a camp about to be on the court in the middle. So right now, there are problems all over the place for DormLords as they find themselves 3 levels down. Hugs, not drugs. Just oh, he stayed too long. He's dead.
Flip. Oh, what a god. Is he gonna get out of this? No, he does end up losing his life. Murky goes down, given resets to Leeming. Lieutenant Dan thrown out that orb, but it's absorbed by the bubble of Zarya, and the tribute is active.
All right.
That was a real egg.
They got to defend the core. Next tribute, not meaningful to really anybody at all. Maybe moral value or morale value for DormLords. We'll see. But Li Ming should be able to get this uncontested. And they'll be able to maintain their lead. They still are going to have a big window to where they'll hit 16 shortly after 13 is picked up by DormLords, and they'll be able to just continue to rotate these talent to your advantage. If they play the map right, there's no way they lose this game.
Yeah, that would be a feat, actually, at this point. They have that commanding lead. They've got the global option with the Haka, who's, you know, utilizing it perfectly. Getting the siege camp right now. We can go push out top again. We've seen these eggs, like, just kind of in the top part of the map. They really haven't granted any meaningful vision in this game, which is tough. I mean, you kind of want to move those around and, you know, get eyes on rotations. So far, it's just going to be eyes on the top.
All right, so update for you, Jake. The Give Me 20 questing talent. We are 10 minutes in, and it's only halfway done. It just got bumped up a little more than halfway. Although, Boss is now spawning on the bottom left in an instant rotation over by Pro Throws. Depending on where this spawns, just stay on the Boss. You do not... This is a part to where this is the correct call. You don't have 16. You could get 16 by the time you get there, but why risk it? Just get the Boss, continue to control the map, and then just continue to force rotations. This is a very, very good call right now.
And this Boss is really going to put that big pressure onto the bottom. They've still got pressure on mid of these Knights and the Catapults. They've got Giants in top. The Hawk has been pushing them out, keeping them in the forward position. And sure, they conceded a tribute, but like you said, don't risk the fight when you're not 16 yet. Maintain the dominant advantage. And now they have 16. They're looking to push for the Boss. They could easily go for game here.
Yeah, with 16, they're definitely going to force out a bunch of heroics. Odin will potentially have to be used here. APOC potentially. I think March of the Murlocs would actually be a pretty good defense. It sounds crazy, but it would be.
Yeah, no, they need to use everything to defend this, really.
Yeah, they're going to have to use everything to defend against this. Even if they give this keep up, I mean, at this point, you're getting to a point where you're like, I got to make
I don't like the March right out of the way. Yes, they can burn through this Boss pretty quickly, and maybe it'll work out. Yeah, they're terrified of that March. All right. I knocked it, but it got a lot of value.
Actually, I think you might be right. That might have been a little bit early because now they're re-engaging. They're going in. This keep is halfway down. The Boss is there. Odin has been used. Expulsion Zone is out, Jake.
Yeah, the Expulsion Zone has been used. Apocalypse will connect on a few members. Theros is their focus target, but they can't quite get that kill as the block is just too much. Rain Event just crashing down onto Zarya, giving the recess there to Li Ming, who's getting some big DPS on Diablo. Nice knockback. Can they get the kill? The drag should still be available. Not even needed as the charge goes in. And Ancestral, once again, is too late there from Inverum. And more resets from the Murky.
I think they can... I don't know. This is tough. Diablo did have Soul, so he's back up. Zarya, 10 seconds up. They could poke this down. Catapults are about to be here mid lane. Murky just keeps coming back more and more. The shields are down, 89%.
Oh, the Ancestral! Oh, the Moonfire denying the Ancestral its glory. And that should be a quick game here. 12 minutes in, they're going to be ending the life here of the DormLords.
We're just not going to talk about it.